Welcome back to our Fashion Sense show, and with me this evening is Miss Erica McVeigh and Mrs. Carmen Penco, and they're from the Carmen Penco School of Fashion Art. And we've been having a great conversation about fashion and about sewing. Who thought sewing, for me, it was a bland thing. You know, you needed to get it done and you paid somebody to do it, anybody other than yourself, because for me, I couldn't sew. I still don't think I can sew, not even in my wildest dreams. But it is something that is so interesting, from the fabric, the buttons, the construction. And you know, we think sewing is just taking a piece of fabric, cutting it and sewing it together and voila, you have a dress. But it's so much more than that. It's all about the construction. So
construction fit, you know. I just recently we were talking and I realized that people ask the question where fashion is concerned in the Caribbean islands, and or where training is concerned. When FIT started about 74 years ago.
No, now for our viewers, explain the
okay.
the acronyms.
Okay,
Yes.
Where are we in the Caribbean islands? We talk about all the islands now. We're trying to boost the garment industry, okay, and we are talking about getting on the international market. We are at a stage where computers are there and they're making the patterns and grading the patterns, and we're listening to all these things and saying, okay, the computer can grade and the computer can do this and the computer can do that. Okay, but what is happening to the industries that were here before? They're all dwindling. It's all, a lot of them have closed down. Okay, so just recently I was discussing this and I said to someone, the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York, that's where I graduated from, started about 70-something years ago, okay? And how did they start? Is because the garment industry in New York City was doing, the manufacturers, they were closing down. That industry was becoming, it was dwindling.
It's getting extinct.
Exactly. And because a lot of people was now going to Paris and they were going here and to get their garments. What did the city, what did they do? They got an educator and they got a manufacturer. And simple people like the dressmakers and the tailors came together and decided, we have to do something about this industry. So they set about doing a school. Okay. Now people come and they say, is the school accredited? Is the school this? Is the school that? I visited FITs some years ago, and I was speaking to one of my professors, and I said, I want to get accreditation because I have a school in Trinidad. He looked at me and he said, Carmen, and I never understood what he meant. He said, Carmen, you know who is going to accredit your school? Your students. Only now I understood what he meant. It was students that graduated from FIT that accredited FIT. Fashion Institute of Technology, I think, was accredited maybe about 10 years or more after they started, or 7 years.
Is that right?
Yes. So what is accreditation? We have this fixation in our heads that, and sometimes a lot of people don't even know what it is. It is a skill we are teaching. And a lot of people have come together to put programs. They did the same thing at UTT in Trinidad. They bought someone from away to put this program together, and they put foreign programs. Why are you putting foreign programs into a Caribbean country? Let's teach people about, we have seasons, we also have, here you have events, you have, we in the Caribbean celebrate events. We do not celebrate,
seasons.
Correct. And we have, well, we are forever hot, we are forever have sunny.
Isn't it funny though how we say the summer, in the summer, well, we summer 12 months out of a year, right?
Yeah.
So practically. Yes.
Right. So we are now going to design stuff for seasons, not for seasons, for events. Okay. Creole Day. I went into the market and I was looking at some of the things, and when you look at it, everything is the same. But if you learn how to do designing, you could make those garments become something that is going to just get the tourists interested, because the tourists doesn't want to walk with all these colorful things. But if you take a little bit of that colorful thing and do something that they can go away with, take it away with them and wear it and say, this is from St. Lucia, and this is, oh, you know something, this material is the Creole. We need, and we have a lot of talent. Let me just say this. The Caribbean has got talent that I still have to see anywhere else. They are very artistic, and put those artistic minds to work with what they have outside and what they are trained to do. We will bring out some really fantastic designers. But
Go ahead.
no,
No, listen, what you're saying is so interesting, because right away you started speaking about taking a little bit of the madras or the national wear colors and incorporating it into everyday wear for the tourists. And I'm thinking right away, my brain is working like this. Then you have a bunch of ambassadors, because when then they wear these things in their countries or in the cities where they live and work, people ask, oh, but that's interesting. Where did you get this? I got this in St. Lucia. And right away, yes, somebody who did not know about St. Lucia all of a sudden knows about St. Lucia and wants to visit because they're into fashion and then they saw this, right? As opposed to getting something that is traditional that they would not normally wear. They can't incorporate it in the everyday clothes that they wear every day. So that is a very interesting point that you brought up.
Yes, and the one thing I really want to say, and why I spoke about the Fashion Institute a short while ago, to say how backward we are. That's what I was really getting at. We're about, what, 60, 70 years backwards. And we are saying 60, 70 years backward, and we want to get into what is called international market, and we haven't even gone through those steps. So, again, our hope at the school is to say, we are going to teach you all that step.
But one thing, just a point to note. When you talked about accreditation, this is one of the questions that I asked you earlier during our break. Are you accredited? And for us in St. Lucia, Erica, you would be privy to that. We have had situations, especially recently, with academies that were supposedly accredited, and they've just ended up being scams and scandals. And so for me, having you on, I'm like, oh boy, it's a school of, it's very interesting. I read the bio and everything on it, and I thought that was very interesting. But for me, I was a little reticent and a little worried, because right now we're going through that, and which is why I asked you so many questions with regard to the accreditation and who you were, where you came from, that kind of thing.
I must tell you that we have the same problem in Canada, where people in Canada to open schools, and they are not accredited in. It's not an offset from one of the schools in Canada, okay? So I understand you very well. We have taken our syllabus into the Ministry of Education, because I do believe that, and I do agree with people when they say, I want to know who you are and what you are and if you're really accredited. Now, I am all right with that, and I understand where people, I'm not going to spend my money, and I totally agree with them, unless I know what, if you are a school that is registered and or whatever it is, whatever it takes to do that, whether you're registered with the correct people, okay, the teachers, because even if these people go away too and they were to go for a job, you also want to know you came from a recognized
especially if we're going outside of the Caribbean,
I agree.
As outside of St. Lucia, we're being small and being so behind the curve where fashion is concerned and all of that. So
no, I totally agree with that, and it's just the only reason I brought this up is because we have been asked that question too, and we say, and as I said, I now understand what my professor meant at that time, because nobody can accredit something right away if there's no success.
Right.
What success have we got in the Caribbean? Tell me, and then fine, we can talk about it. There isn't any school can say we have all these designers and they have got a market in the international. We have an international market. You tell me, and I'm going to listen to you. But don't come and tell me now that we are going to, here is Caribbean, we are teaching people American history, why not Caribbean history? Okay? How did our clothes come about? Who are we? Okay, we talk about carnival. There are so many things that we can actually create here, and we could make a name for ourselves in the Caribbean islands.
You know, I never thought about I lived in North America, so I know dressing for the season and preparing for the season. So you have spring wear, summer wear, winter wear, and all of that. But in St. Lucia and in the Caribbean, the wider Caribbean, we're summer 24/7, 12 months a year, and so we pretty much cool. We get to wear our clothes, our favorite outfits throughout the year. Then you said something about dressing for the seasons, for the events. Like we celebrate events. It never occurred to me.
We celebrate
it never, except for Christmas.
Sure, and when the tourist comes here, they want to buy, they want to take something home, okay?
But we don't have anything that says, okay, it's July and it's the month of Carnival, this is my Carnival piece or whatever.
Exactly.
Sure, and you know how many people would have liked to come here and pick up something. Now, again, this is where costing comes in, okay? Because a lot of people, because they are not trained, they will probably take 2 hours or 3 hours or a day to make something, and they'll say, oh, you know how long that took me? That took me the whole day to make it. Well, get the training, because you should finish that in maybe 20 minutes. Okay? So, again, I will stress that in order for anybody to start talking, to be a professional, and start to speak the language that people speak abroad, let us get the proper training. Let us be able to speak on the level that any other designer, wherever you come from, we can all speak the same language.
So, Erica, would you say then, therefore, that the Carmen Penco's School of Fashion Art would fill in the gap, or even perhaps swallow what Seydu and maybe SLISBA and Ministry of Commerce has offered in the past? Some of the programs that you participated in when you started out.
Of course, because what they do, they try to meet the need. But like I always say to them at the ministry, the people sitting at the desk do not really understand what people on the ground face every day of their life.
Tell me some of the things that they face.
You know, again, you spoke about fabrics, going to the fabric stores, simple thing like cotton fabric. It's very difficult to find here in St. Lucia. You try to bring in fabrics and you try to bring in raw materials, and then you have to go through customs. Customs do not know what grade to place these materials under, so you end up paying duties, a whole lot of duties to bring them in. Then they think that you're using it for personal use, but it's really not personal use, it's really raw materials. So when you're faced with all of these challenges, and again with VAT coming in, you're having to pay 15% VAT on raw materials that you have not even used.
There's no value to the.
And how much manufacturing do we really do in St. Lucia? How much is there any one success story out of all of what the ministry and everybody has really tried to do? Have we ever had one designer who have come from below and have made it to the top? You really don't hear these stories. Yes, they do help. I am not saying that they don't. They do help. But I do not think personally that it's really reaching the people that they're trying to reach. Because people hustle every day. I say to everyone, in order for you to be able to pay your bills on a monthly basis as a seamstress, you need to work from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. You do not have a life outside of it. And that is the honest truth. And you could go around when we have our events and you'll see everybody is hustling to make $1 and they really don't care. And then again, the public doesn't have the choice, because look, it's Creole Day and every child has to be clothed to go to their events at the school, and every child wants these garments. The parent really doesn't have a choice. But then again, I am taking 2 hours to make a dress that could be done in half an hour. Am I going to charge you $20 to do it? I have to charge you $80. I have to charge you $90 because we have electricity, we have to buy needles, we have to buy thread, we have to buy everything, and it's quite costly.
And it goes back to what Mrs. Penko was saying.
Exactly.
You have to be able to cost yourself, and you have, if you're trained,
then
you could do something that takes you 2 hours and 20 minutes and that kind of thing. But we've got to take another break. When we come back, St. Lucia, you'll be able to join in our conversation and to ask any question that you would have of Mrs. Penko and Erica McVeigh. See you on the other side of the break.